watching Thrifty Kaniffy. Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we're looking at an Old Timer knife. Now this one's in the premium series because this knife is over $50. Actually, Smoky Mountain Knife Works offers this for $75 and Chicago Knife Works for $63.17. This is the Bruin 5OTG from their Generational series. These series of knives are actually produced by Bear & Son and not Old Timer. They OEM them, so they are American made and not made overseas. Some specs here. This is incorrect actually. That they are not stainless steel blades. They're actually carbon. A 2.8-inch Skinner blade with nickel silver bolsters. Your generational guarantee. Again, the model number 5OTG, made in the United States. And on the back, it also mentions that this is a stainless steel blade. That is incorrect, and they are actually carbon steel blades in this series. Now, I've made it known that I'm not a huge fan of the Generational series on the other two patterns that I've taken a look at, both the Trapper and the Stockman. The reason being is that they didn't represent what it is that they said they were. You know that Bear & Son made these knives, so they just use their own tooling. And so they try to represent something that was made by Old Timer. You're going to have some differences there, but the other two knives were not even close. This one, no, I can say it is pretty close. If we're looking at a Bruin, you can see there's no diagonal slant to the bolster. The end of the handle is a little different, but it's a bare end lockback and a very similar size. So I let this one slide compared to the other two, which were really just completely different knives. Now, this one has quite a different type of blade shape there. You can see that the original Bruin has sort of a drop point blade, or this is more of an upswept drop point. Now, it's still a drop point, but just in a different shape. This is more of a spear. This is more upswept. Much more like a sodbuster design, honestly. But I like sodbusters, so that kind of doesn't hurt that it is very much like a sodbuster. So if you want an old-timer sodbuster, this kind of is really one of the few options that you have that are going to be like that. Again, now Old Timer didn't make this knife. It's an OEM by Bear & Sons. Let's look at some of the exterior here and what we've got. We've got this chestnut sawcut bone handle on it. And it's got some really good, deep grooves in there, really attractive, really well done sawcut. Got this nickel silver inlaid shield, a little recessed. Can feel that a little bit. Probably could have been a little more smooth across there. The pins are nice. Looks like we got a 4-pin construction there. These two are rather close to the end. I get a little concerned when you have bone handles and you've got pins that close to the edge. One little drop on those and I guarantee you they'll break. But gonna need to be careful with this knife if you carry it every day. Nickel silver bolster. Pretty nice, pretty plain. Just kind of got that diagonal cut to it, which looks pretty nice. And the fit and finish on this seems to be pretty good. Look at the back here. I'm not feeling any proud pins or anything like that. And there is a little bit of a swell there you can see as it goes into the bolster, so it gets a little broader as it goes back the handle here, which is fine. You kind of ramps back. Gives you a nice grip there. I like having some thicker handles on a bone design, which is kind of required to give it a little more strength. But yeah, they're delicate, and those pins being on the edge, yeah, you're gonna want to take well care of this knife without it getting dropped or something like that. So for everyday use, it just depends on how much you can tolerate beating your knife around. But this, being as expensive as it is, it's just a little held back by the design, I think, for being a beater. But beautiful side buster shaped handle to it, and also that blade very much reminds me of a sodbuster style blade. Let's look at the tank stamps on here. We've got Old Timer on this side, on the show side, and then below there it says USA, so definitely American made. And then on the other side we get the metal designation along with the model number 5OTG and then 1095 HC for the high carbon blade. So we've got a flat grind on it. Very decent edge on there. That feels very sharp. Looks like it's laid back pretty decently. So probably have a pretty slicey little blade going on there. There's your nail nick. Now I've kind of oiled this blade up. So if it looks like it's kind of smeared just because of the oil that's on it. You do need to oil your carbon steel blades. And so right out of the box, I made sure to protect the blade. But the lockback mechanism works very smoothly, and I'm really happy with the action. You've got steel liners on this, so the feel of it when it opens and closes is a little different than when you have a brass knife. So it seems like it's a little more, a little more resistance between the open and close. And it grabs a little more. But I think as it breaks in, it'll probably be more like, a brass liner knife. But there you go. You can see that on the back, the steel liners, and then that steel locking mechanism. Like I say, it's pretty easy to open. Not a difficult knife to push down. And I can't stand when you got lockbacks that, put a massive dent in your thumb every time you try to use them. That to me is not well designed and not something that I appreciate in a knife whenever I get a lockback. So I do like when they work the way they should, in my opinion. But yeah, just a really nice saw cut bone there. Is it worth the $75? Well, look, all those people that want American knives and they want something made by an American, what used to be an American only produced knife. They asked for the USA made knives and they gave them to you, but they're going to come at a cost. So whether that's worth it to you, I don't know. It just depends on how you feel about the brand. To me, how important it is to have an American made knife. Again, these were made by Bear & Son, so you know the kind of the quality that you're getting there. If you know anything about Bear & Son, they're kind of hit and miss. There's going to be some knives that are better than others. This seems to be pretty well done to me. You got good centering on the blade, even though this is a lockback, and I really don't get too overly concerned about the blade centering on that. But no real gapping or anything like that as well. So the fit and finish is nice. Now I did have to come back on these liners and file those down. The corners were pretty sharp. I wouldn't say they were like as bad as some I've seen, but they needed some work. They needed some work for the comfort. When you grip the knife, that was, something you could feel. And I've just rolled it over with like some, I don't know, maybe like 600 grit sandpaper. And you just quickly run that along the edges on the interiors of those liners, and that'll roll that edge, and that won't be so sharp on your fingers there. But feels really good in the hand now, and I feel like you got a pretty decent edge on the blade. So all in all, I really kind of like this knife. Unfortunately, I do think it is a little pricey. I mean, when you compare it to other knives in this price range, this definitely is probably got the quality of a case knife, I would say, with the saw cut bone handles. Not a huge fan of the way that inlay looks, but it's okay. I mean, I'd probably rather have something similar to what Case does for a shield, but here you are with an American, company that's got some history. Not under the current ownership, obviously, but under the previous ownership, in Schrade. So if you're a loyalist and you want to support the Old Timer brand, this is a good way to do it. Again, you can get this for $63, and that's the way to go over at Chicago Knife Works. That's what I would recommend. But overall length of the knife, we have a measure of 3 5/8. If we take a look at the blade length, again, 1095 high carbon steel. They said it was 2.8. That's pretty close. I'd say that's pretty much spot on. That's just over 2 3/4 inches, so we'll call that 2.8 inches. So that's definitely pretty much accurate on the box, even though, again, they said it was stainless steel, and it's not. So be aware of that if you're looking at this knife and then you saw the packaging and go, well, I thought that was carbon steel. It is. They just got the packaging wrong. But total length, let's take a look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and almost a half. Call that 6 3/8. And that's pretty much your total length of the knife. Pretty light knife too, not particularly heavy with that bone, the bone scales or handles on it. Take a quick look at that. Kind of compare that to maybe a sod buster. It's 2.3, so I think that's pretty close. 2.33 ounces. And again, you get the quality of the bone is kind of what you're paying for there, along with that American manufacturer. And yeah, so you're pretty much buying a Bear & Son, but in the Old Timer brand. So that's going to do it for my review, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. We're going to see you next time. Take care.